A deadly explosion rocks a Pulaski County neighborhood. What we know about the victim and the possible cause. Plus, former President Trump held in contempt once again for violating his gag order. The latest on Trump's hush money trial and why the judge is threatening jail time.
Plus, we could see some stormy weather for the middle of this week. Your forecast on the way as Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
We are learning new details about a series of deadly shootings across 2 counties Friday. Police in Pulaski and Russell counties are still investigating what took place. One of the victims, we've learned, is a former Fish and Wildlife officer. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more.
The violence began near the Pulaski-Russell County line Friday night. We are told that Larry Gosser was the first victim, apparently shot and killed by his wife, Angela. Police say Angela Gosser then came over to Russell County, where she then opened fire on a car that her sister was sitting in, killing Jennifer Wilson, and then went to where her brother lived and got into a shootout with him, a shootout that left him injured and that killed Angela Gosser as well. It's a horrific series of events that require the work of detectives from Pulaski County and Kentucky State Police. They are still piecing together what happened, but family members say Larry Gosser gave a lot of his life to working for Fish and Wildlife before retiring from that service. They say that he loved this picture of him and his truck off the roadway, but he also loved the outdoors and working on the farm. And police say that he was working near his home when he died.
Apparently been out working on a tree. He had work gloves on and was sawing on a tree. There's fresh marks where he'd been sawing on a tree.
There are still a lot of questions to be answered by what exactly happened with all of this and why. Many questions to be answered over the motive. They say that no one outside of this family apparently was in harm's way Friday night. In Pulaski and Russell counties, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Funeral services for Larry Gosser are set for 2 p.m. Wednesday at Wilson Funeral Home. One person is dead after police say a garage behind a Pulaski County home exploded Sunday morning. That person killed has been identified as 43-year-old Christopher Feinberg. The explosion happened on the 200 block of Hidden Crest Drive in Somerset around 10 a.m. The garage was destroyed and several other homes were damaged in the blast.
I know there's several houses that's been affected. There's been calls all over the Pulaski County said they've heard it, but the cause is still under investigation. Unfortunately, that's all the information I have at this time.
The cause of the explosion is believed to involve fireworks and other material inside the garage. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms is leading the investigation while the Sheriff's Office is investigating the death. Since this is still an ongoing investigation, the public is still asked to avoid that area.
Well, wet weather continues on this Monday afternoon, so if you have those plans to be outdoors into this evening, be sure to have the rain gear as more off and on showers and a few thunderstorms are possible. Some good news, no severe weather, but some heavier downpours in the Cumberland Valley, close to Monticello, also close to Powersburg, pushing into parts of McCreary County, also for Pulaski County, and some heavier downpours not too far away from London, also Corbin and the I-75 corridor. And a live look from the London Corbin Airport. Some cloudy conditions, that current temperature up to 77 degrees. Most of us today in the middle to upper 70s. Also tracking some more light to moderate showers on US 421 from Jackson County, pushing into parts of Clay County. And another heavier downpour pushing into parts of Lawrence and Martin counties. A first alert in Inez, a heavier storm not too far away from you over the next few minutes there. If you have plans this evening, a few more off and on showers or thunderstorms are possible, but again, these are below severe limits. Those temperatures in the upper 60s to lower 70s. Now we are watching out for the potential for a few strong storms on Tuesday and maybe another severe weather chance on Wednesday. More details on that stormy weather pattern coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. Devastating floodwaters in Texas have now claimed at least one life. The body of a 4-year-old boy was recovered near Fort Worth yesterday as search and rescue teams statewide continue to patrol streets and neighborhoods. It's the first reported fatality from recent storms that have prompted disaster declarations for more than a third of the state's counties. It was a busy weekend that continues for first responders, making hundreds of rescues.
You have these flash flooding events. Many times, unfortunately, they catch people off guard.
Severe weather warnings are shifting north from Texas into Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Kansas through the evening, as Cameron has been talking about. The Storm Prediction Center says parts of those states could see possible tornadoes, along with damaging wind gusts and large to very large hail tonight. Former President Donald Trump's so-called hush money trial resumed this morning, with the judge again holding the former president in contempt, warning Trump that if he continues violating the gag order, he could face jail time. CBS's Jared Hill reports from New York.
Before walking into the courtroom Monday morning, former President Donald Trump railed against the gag order imposed by the judge overseeing his criminal trial in New York.
I was in Miami this weekend, and reporters are asking me questions, the same questions like you're asking me, and I have to say I have a gag order, I can't speak about it. Never happened before, ever.
Inside the courtroom, Judge Juan Merchan found Trump in contempt once again, this time for comments he made about the jury in an interview last month. The judge fined Trump $1,000, then noted that since the fines don't appear to have an effect, going forward, the former president could risk jail time. Judge Merchan told Mr. Trump, "The last thing I want to do is put you in jail. You're a former president of the United States, and possibly the next one as well." But Merchan said the gag violations constitute a direct attack on the rule of law, which I cannot allow to continue. The former president maintains he should be able to speak freely.
It is unconstitutional, and it shouldn't be allowed, and I wish people could move a little bit quicker, the appellate courts, because the whole world is watching this.
Trump is charged with falsifying business records in connection with payments his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential election. On the stand Monday, a former controller for the Trump Organization, Jeffrey McConney, testified about his role in arranging payments to Cohen, which the prosecution says were reimbursements. Trump denies any wrongdoing. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
The United States Secret Service would not comment specifically on what would happen if Trump were jailed, but said in a statement it studies locations and develops protective models to safeguard people. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem is defending her controversial new memoir. It hits shelves tomorrow and is already being revised. The book, called No Going Back, drew early criticism over a passage about Noem killing her own dog. On CBS Mornings, the governor said she shot her 14-month-old wire-haired pointer because it was a threat. She was less forthcoming about something else in the book, where she recalled meeting North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un.
It's a simple question. Did you or did you not meet with Kim Jong-un?
That's the answer that I have for you, is that it will be adjusted, and as soon as I became aware of it, that content was removed.
Previously mentioned on short lists as Donald Trump searches for a running mate, it's unclear how Noams Book has impacted her vice presidential prospects. This is expected to be a critical week for the future of House Speaker Mike Johnson. Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia says she plans to introduce a resolution calling for Johnson's ouster. That's because Johnson pushed through a foreign aid package last month that helps Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. It's unclear how many Republican members are siding with her. Many Republicans oppose the push to oust Johnson, though, and do not want to see the conference fighting like it did after former Speaker Kevin McCarthy was voted out last year. A developing story out of Mexico, where authorities say relatives have positively identified 3 bodies as those of 2 Australian surfers and 1 American who went missing last weekend. Mexican police say 30-year-old American Jack Carter Rode and Australian brothers Jake and Colum Robinson were found shot and killed on Friday. Thieves apparently killed the 3 to steal their truck because they wanted the tires. The 3 men were on a surfing trip near the popular coastal city of Ensenada. but were camping in an isolated area outside of town.
Going to a remote destination sometimes is great, but in certain situations that can work against you, where there's nobody around to be able to help you in case of emergency.
Right now, 3 suspects are being held in connection with the case. Coming up as First at 4 continues, millions of Americans are looking to take a trip this summer, and many are willing to go in debt for it. We'll have the results of a new survey.
And showers and storms continue through this evening. Your forecast coming up after this break.